While a lot of people say that Mr. Tata is a very extraordinary man, because you have met him, there must be some reason.
No, he was in that sense selfless. Why do people say Mr. Modi is an extraordinary man? Equal amount of people are, jealous that he is who he is. They want to shoot him down. Mr. Tata was a very simple man, and he had good instincts on people. When you meet people, you need to be a good judge of people to be a leader. So when they chose me to do the book, I said to them, I'm not going to do the book. I don't do books on industrial houses, even though I come from a family like that. Don't have the time. But they said, no, just come. We want to meet you. So everybody said to me, Mr. Tata is calling you. Why aren't you going, So they sent me a ticket. I always buy my own ticket, usually. So I went and I met them. And it turned out to be a very extraordinary meeting in which I told them that I was not going to do the book. But they were even more impressed, and they said, no, you have to do the book, because I said, no, I'll do 2 pages of the book, because I have a vision of how it should be. And I said it should be a book on India. Okay? No, so what happened was, I said to them, there are other industrial houses who've done books. Have you seen them? There's one. So one of them, many people around a big table, so they said, I have the book on the Birlas, and one said, I have the book on the Bajaj. And so because they said, who will they send it to except other people of their stature? So I just said to them, have you read them? And there was pink drops out. Which means that, if I produce a big fat book on my family and send it to you, will you read it? Why should you read it?
Yeah.
If you have some, unless you're marrying into my family or something, there has to be a motivation.
Right.
So I said that I see you, because I come from the outside, so I had the advantage of seeing them like I see you, like you can't see yourself. You know what I mean? So I said to them that, I have a vision of how I want the book should be. I said the book should be on India, and within the India story is your story, because you made the first steel thing, you made the first locomotive, you made the first this, you made the first tea thing, the Lakme, the perfume. So there's so many things. You are the pioneers of this, that. So, and I had it in my head. So I did, I think 1932, I did, the book moves year by year. This is 1932 India, 1932 Tata. So you know what's happening in India and what's happening in Tata. So it becomes like an encyclopedia, which is why Mr. Ratan Tata wrote to say that it is considered the most extraordinary corporate book in the whole world, because there is no other company like this. You have to be, suppose you have to write a book about XYZ and the Tatas. How can that book be extraordinary when they've done nothing of that stature? And how can that book be so extraordinary in a little country somewhere in the world? Because I made the book India and Tatas. India is, so great, and the Tatas are so great. So when you put the two greats together and you show how 20 years before the whole world had come to accept 8 hours for, industrial labor should work 8 hours. The first company to do it was the Tatas. And they were 20 years ahead of America. And we think that they are progressive and we are retrogressive. So you learn so many things, When Dorab Tata's wife died, she had one of the big diamonds of the world. And they put it to auction, sold it, and made the Tata Cancer Hospital.
Is it?
Those are things, that's what makes people great, Who's interested? If you were the richest man and, called me and showed off your wealth, who's interested,
So you got a chance to interact with them on a very personal note.
No, you're writing about them, they have to tell you their story.
Yeah.
He was a wonderful man. He said, when they say, I wrote about somebody who was caught in corruption in their finance department, and he committed suicide. So I wrote about him, and somebody said to me, no, don't tell, it's a negative story. So I said, no, it's not actually. It's a wonderful story, because it says that the ethos of the Tatas is so high that if you do something which is wrong, you can only do what the Japanese do, harakiri, kill yourself, because you can't face the world. Is that a bad story or a good story? So Mr. Tata said, Aman is absolutely right. And then he said to them, it's his book. I trust him, let him do what he wants. So when he empowers you that much, when we met very briefly, then we got to know each other better. Then he realized that I represented the Tatas and I had taken the role very seriously. So it became the best corporate book in the world.
What are the other things which surprised you the most when you were writing this book, when you got to know about them?
No, there are many things, the book has got 3.5 lakh.
See, because I'm asking this, because I've been part of Tata's because I worked with them. So I'm very.
Where did you work?
I used to work for TCS, Tata Consultancy. So I'm very much interested about him also.
No, this is not one story, but there was a certain amount of modesty. I would also say kind of unconsciousness of who they were, So when I said, and I asked all the questions because they come from the outside. So I said, how many companies do you have? They didn't even know, So they had to ask Tata Sons.
Really?
This, yeah, they didn't have a list, They really didn't have a list. So I said, I think the list came and it was 95. So I said, wow. But it's 100 years. So I said, well, lovely. If you had 5 more companies, and we'd say 100 companies at 100 years. So then they went back and looked and they said, yeah, we've actually we're registering this company and this one has just been founded and that has been founded. So in such a big corporation all over India. So it actually became 100 companies for 100 years. So it was fun doing that book, And then they took me very seriously because I was interested in promoting them as who they are. And when the book came out, it was very interesting actually. It was printed in Singapore because it had some great folds and it had some complications. They called me, Dr. Irani, who was the chairman of Tata Steel, called me and on that phone, I think, yes. And he said, he used to call me Mr. Aman Nath. I said, you can call me Aman, but he would say Mr. Aman Nath. So he said, the book has come. Mr. Aman Nath, what have you done? So I said, what have I done? Because I hadn't seen the book, I said, maybe the cover is printed upside down, maybe I've made some big blunder because it's such a big book, So he said, I said, I haven't seen it. So he said, no, I meant to say, what have you made of us? It's such a splendid book. So I was quite relieved that I hadn't made a mess of the book. So he said, we just had a board meeting and we all stood in silence to admire what you have created for us. So I said, that's nice of you, thank you, but maybe you didn't know who you are. You should know, because that is true modesty. It may be foolhardy to imagine that you do all this, but you are not aware that it's me, as happens in many people today. So humility is a very important component of growth, of leadership, of charity. So we have, in India, we have so many examples of it, You're sitting next to the Khane Khana's tomb in Nizamuddin here. And Khane Khana was a great scholar. He translated the Ramayana into Farsi. And he was a contemporary of Tulsidas, who lived in Benares. So, and they used to exchange, and they must have met or they must have heard of each other, I don't know. So I don't know how they sent letters, but they did send letters to each other. So Tulsidas wrote a couplet to Abdul Rahim Khane Khana, who was one of the Navratans of the Mughals. I don't remember that actually, but it's worth, if you can find it, you should put it in your program. But the answer of Abdul Rahim Khane Khana was so beautiful, is what I'm talking about, the Tatas. He says, so Tulsidas writes to him that I've heard of your philanthropy, that you are so charitable and so extraordinary, and to what greatness, where does this greatness come from, or something he says. So Khane Khana writes back, he says, Den har koi aur hai, devat hai din rain. The giver is somebody else, he gives day and night. Log bhram mujh par kare, tate niche nain. So people think I am giving that money, but he's coming from somewhere else, So I look down when I give money, He said, Tate niche nain. So when you're giving in charity, firstly, the source of the charity should not be known. If there are 100 hungry children and you go out there and you throw food, tu bhi khale, that's battamezi, So that they should all be fed and nobody should know. They should say somebody sent the food to us. That is charity. That's what that's what Khan says.
But today's world, people record when they do some charity because just to get more promotions.
No, but that's not charity. When the source of charity, when you get a check which is 6 feet big and blow it up and give it to the Prime Minister on a stage, is that charity? That's self-promotion. I am giving. The ego comes before the charity. That is not true charity.